All right, I wanted to do this little demonstration of primary denial for my friends because we were talking about this and I wanted to kind of demonstrate some of the thought process behind this stuff. All right, so here's a little scenario to explain. All right, get in position here. All right, okay. Videography. So we have our very killy unit over here. All right, this is Space Wolf head takers. All right, they're very killy, very strong, 4-up invulns, lots of attacks. Very the thing you don't want to be running up with something very weak, like a little cultist mob here. Not only are the cultist mob going to get absolutely wiped by this small squad of head takers, there's a low chance that they will do really anything significant there, all right? So when you look at this, if you're focused on the units themselves and how they will fight, you're missing an entire aspect of the game. So in this scenario, this is a fantastic opportunity for your people to deny this big scary unit. So right now I'm going to be doing I'm going to be on the heresy side here, and we're going to say, all right, this unit is on here. They just finished their turn, and I just moved this cultist mob onto the objective, okay? I'm outside of the range. I've just moved them there. Now, what do? I'll tell you what I'm definitely not going to do. Anything. I'm not going to shoot them. I'm not going to charge. Maybe I'll shoot, but, whatever. I'm definitely not going to charge them. I'm just going to stand right here, all right? Because remember, you win Warhammer with points, victory points, not army points. It doesn't matter how many units you end the game with. It doesn't matter how many units you killed during the game. What matters is if you outscored your opponent. And you outscore your opponent by scoring more points than them, or by scoring more points for them than them by the end of the game. And you do that by either you scoring points and you denying them points. So in this case, we have how much OC? 1, 2, 3, 4 OC. That's not very much. My cultist mob, if they're not here, he has this point. All right, my opponent has this point. So he did this last turn. He moved here. He got here. Boom. He's like, I'm going to capture this point. You got nothing else that is like dangerous. And all I did with my cultist mob on my turn, because I have nothing else over here, I moved them onto the point. They're now on the point, and they are also 1 OC models. I have 10 OC now here on the point. Okay? How great is that? So, now what this means is he is on his turn. If I'm not going to charge, I'm not going to fight because I don't want him to kill. If he fights these guys, they're going to kill them. All right? No question about it. All right? But what does this accomplish? All right? Right now I'm just going to put all 10 things on here just as a very simple demonstration. He is not going to score this in his primary. This is not going to be scored. We're going to assume that we're playing take and hold or linchpin or whatever. All right. We're going to assume that we're playing something that is like how they usually work. You're scoring 5-ish VP for every objective you're holding. He is not scoring this. My turn ends. I don't fight him. I don't kill him. His turn now. He does not control this. He does not score any points on it. Boom. I have denied him 5 points. I am now in an objectively better situation, even if his guys move forward, kill them, wipes the whole squad. Who cares? All right? He's going to have to wait a whole nother turn, and by that time, he does that. He's not scoring any primary on it. It's really going to come down to just secondaries. And the thing to remember about secondaries is that the secondaries are secondary to the game. And I'm going to demonstrate why that is, okay? So let's slide these boys over here off to the side, all right? So we have our secondary cards, right? Let's really focus on the ones that we care about, okay? All right, here we go. Okay. If I am doing these whole shenanigans here, I have denied him guaranteed 5 victory points. I have denied him. And let's pretend, for just simplicity's sake, that our entire world, the entire game is down to just these 2. and then we'll add on other scenarios, assuming that that's not true, okay? So here are all of the secondaries that come into play in this scenario, all right? Okay, in this scenario, we have secure no man's land, overwhelming force, cleanse, storm hostile objective, all right? Okay, if the cultist mob is not on the point, here's what I know. 5 points that he gets for having of primary, and of all these things, he could draw any of these 3 cards, okay? Cleanse, I'll do it this way so it's easier on the camera. Here we go. Okay, I'll pull it down. Okay, he could do any of these 3 cards, and he can score an additional set of secondaries on top of that, okay? 2 for secure no man's land, 2 for cleanse, and 4 for extend battle lines, okay? So let's just say he gets 2 of these, that's another 6 points. So in total, 5 victory points for primary, 6 victory points for secondary, 11 points, okay? That's what he gets if I'm not contesting that objective, okay? Versus just taking it, all right? Or whatever. Now, if I am standing on it, boom, they all come on here. Boom, 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 boom. They're standing on it. What happens now, okay? All right. Here's what I know has now changed. First of all, if this is the whole world of the game, cleanse is no longer guaranteed, all right? We have now changed the math here. We know that previously he was going to get 5 victory points guaranteed just because of primary, just because he's here. And then if he happens to pull any of those 3 cards, he is going to maximum, out of this one objective, he is going to get a maximum of 11, right? 4 plus 6, or sorry, 5 plus 6. So minimum 5, maximum 11. All right, okay. Now, minimum is now 0 if I'm contesting or taking the point from him. The minimum is now 0. He might not score anything because he's scoring nothing on primary. Primary were his guaranteed. All right. Cleanse now is something that he cannot do with this unit alone. It is now impossible for him to do it at all with only this unit. All right. Because it's an action. It needs to be done during the shooting phase. He can't shoot them off, so this becomes important if you're like, well, what if they're really shooty, and stuff. We're like, okay, fine. I put a bunch of aggressors on it, okay? Aggressors. Our aggressors have flamers. They're going to murderize this entire unit in the shooting phase, no problem, okay? If they shoot, they can't do the action. No cleanse, okay? The only way he can get cleanse at all is if a second unit of his intervenes. A second unit either has to step onto the objective to out OC whatever's there, and then he can cleanse, or they can cleanse, or whatever, or a second unit needs to shoot them so that he can cleanse. All right? You only get cleanse now if a second unit intervenes. Cleanse is not guaranteed anymore. All right? So, from here, we have our other cards here. Okay. Extend battle lines and secure no man's land. He can score those. If he draws those, he's going to score them anyway. It's going to be 6 points. All right, 6 points of secondary. That's it. Instead of 11 points total, he is only going to get 6 points of secondary. If he, on his turn, he kills all these guys, draws both these cards, scores both of them. Guaranteed, if he draws these, he'll score 6. But that's 6 instead of 11. Awesome. All right. Now let's talk about these two. Again, remember to pull them towards me, I guess. All right. Now, these are 2 that are only possible because I'm standing there. All right. And this is where some nuance comes in with how you actually go about your denying. Okay. Storm hostile objective, overwhelming force. Okay. All right. 4 points, 3 points. Storm hostile objective. If he takes a point that was controlled by me, he gets 4 victory points. All right, if he kills a unit, he gets 3 points if they're within range of an objective. Now, if he draws overwhelming force, he will score it. If he draws storm hostile objective, he might score it, if I out OC him on the point. If I only put 4 guys towing onto it, I did not take the objective, I contested it. No one owns the objective. So, he can no longer storm hostile objective. That's not something he can get. So now, the only thing that can happen is he can score some combination of these 3 cards. Overwhelming Force. If he draws any of these cards, he will automatically score them on his turn by simply holding his home objective and killing these guys, like, to have this thing here. I'm assuming that he's just going to be holding his home objective just for fun. And then secure no man's land. Definitely he'll be doing this. He'll be doing these if he draws them on my turn because I'm in range. This is 5 victory points. If he drew these and I was not standing on it, he would have not gotten Overwhelming Force, but he would have gotten Secure No Man's Land, 2 victory points, and he would have gotten 5 for primary, 7 victory points. So instead of scoring 7 victory points because of the primary, he is scoring only 5 victory points with both of those cards. Now, the worst one would, of course, be like if he pulls this one, 4 and 3, hey, that's 7. That'd be a bummer. But again, if he drew these 2, and I was not standing there, this would have been a dead card. He would have gotten Extend Battle Lines, which would have been 5 points for primary, and still 4 points for this, because he just has to control it. He would have scored this one automatically as well. So that would have been 5 plus 4. That would have been 9 points. So instead of 9 points, he's only scoring 7. He lost 2 points. So this is the point. This is my point here. By simply doing this, by simply getting onto the objective and taking it from him, and I didn't capture the objective, all right? Then this is something, if I'm doing it with the intent of actually sabotaging and denying him, bring these back over here into view. If I'm doing this with the intent of sabotaging and denying him points, I don't want to take it. I want to contest it. If I don't contest, if I am on the point fully on his turn, then storm hostile objective is a threat. All right, it doesn't have to be a threat because I have no reason to take the point from him, because I know that on his turn he is going to kill them. I'm not going to hold it. The only time I would risk it, if I was not going to deny it, if I was simply going to try to take it from him, I would move something up that was actually dangerous and was going to try to take him off the point. All right, so this is why you'd specifically go up. You'd put enough OC to match it if you can. That's where these OC guys are good, but that would be the ideal, is if you have something that is 1 OC and you can drop equal to him. That is the absolute ideal. But you know what? Let's actually just say that you didn't have these guys, and we instead, let's say I only have these battle line dudes here, and they're coming in 2s. All right, so there's really no way that I can easily contest. And let's say he didn't have here we go. Let's say he had 3 points here. He has an odd number of points, and I have an even number of guys here. The only way I can contest it, I can't really just only contest it. I have to take it from him. All of a sudden, storm hostile objective is now on the table. All right, is that still worse? I would say this is still good, all right? If you have the flexibility and you can contest it without taking it, that is always better if you're purely trying to do a denial, all right? But even if you can't do that, I will argue that this is still objectively better situation to be in, because you are still reduced the minimum number of points he can score, and you have reduced the maximum number of points he can score. Because now your big fear is he draws both both overwhelming force and storm hostile objective, what's going to happen now? This is the, one of the best things he can draw, that punishes you only in this scenario. Okay, so you have directly contributed to his ability to score these points. But how bad is that actually? 7 points. That's what this is. All right. So worst case scenario, instead of scoring 5 points, like if he drew these cards and you weren't there, they'd be dead. He'd only score the 5 primary. He'd score 5 points. Cool. If you step on there and he draws these, he scores no primary, but he scores 7 victory points. Bummer. He scores plus 2 points than he otherwise would have. That is your risk. 2 points. That's not that bad. And here is the real thing. All right. Now, if he stores these, this is your worst case scenarios. He scores net 2 points. What if he drew extend battle lines and storm hostile objective? Okay, he could draw all that and that, but that's only 3 points. So let's take the worst case, which is this. This scores 8 points. All right. He scores 8 points. So you would think, oh, well, he scored net 3 points. This is the highest score he can get out of this point is if he draws these 2 secondary cards. This is the highest this is the max score he can get with you standing there. He scores 8 points. Here's the problem though. If you weren't standing here, okay, these guys aren't on the point. He scores 5 points. He scores 4 points. This is a dead card. He would have scored 9 points if you weren't there. So the highest score he can get that is possible for him to get purely because you out-OC'd him, you couldn't contest it, you had to out-OC him, the highest possible thing he can get is 8 points, which is still 1 point less than if you weren't standing there. You just denied him 1 point. So the only possible thing that could get him higher points is if he draws exactly these 2 cards. Now be honest, how likely is it that in a random turn he is going to draw exactly these 2 cards? More likely, one of them has already come up. Or maybe this is the risk factor. They're both still in the deck. Do you still do this? Well, do the math. Minimum, he now has a minimum point value of 0 points as he's going to get out of this because he has 0 guaranteed points until he draws secondaries. So the risk to you is he draws these secondaries. The reward is he is now at 0 minimum up to 7. 0 to 7, net 2. I would say that that's still worth it. That's still objectively worth it because even if he draws those 2 things, hey, you got unlucky. It's a game of probabilities. But in literally every other combination that you can do where this 1 point matters, every other combination, he scores more points if you are not there, denying him the primary. The other cool thing here is that this concept stacks. Let's say you do this on 2 objectives at the same time, all right? Let's play that one out, all right? And let's take the bad one. He draws both of these cards. The only cards that net him new points. He draws the 2 of these cards. He is actually in a worse case. He is actually not netting points. He is losing points if you do this on 2 objectives, two no man's land objectives, because he is going to get instead of getting the 10 primary points that he would have gotten by holding these 2 objectives, he would have gotten 10 points. He drew these cards. He gets 0 points for these, so 10 total. You're standing on him. He gets 0 primary. He draws these 2 cards. This goes to 4. It does not increase if he has multiple objective markers. So this is capped at 4. This one, He'll kill, let's say it's the same scenario. He is guaranteed that if he fights, if he shoots, fights, whatever, he's going to kill that unit. He is capped at 5 points, meaning he went from 10 guaranteed primary points to instead 9 guaranteed secondary points. Guaranteed only at the point that he actually draws them. So even then, you can't even say they're guaranteed. They're guaranteed if he draws them. If he doesn't draw them, they're not guaranteed. And whenever I say guaranteed here, only primary points are ever actually guaranteed. Secondaries, especially secondaries like this, that involve like you controlling more and stuff like that, and therefore you have to kill something, they're always up to the dice. Now, statistically, of course, probability-wise, they're not going to have a problem killing that unit in whatever unit you're doing this with. That's the point of this demonstration, is even in a case where we just assume there is 0 chance that he spikes and gets all snake eyes and he just misses everything. 0 chance that he does that. You have still objectively done better because of this. So that's the theory here. So remember, the upshot being, you will win by simply getting more points than your opponent. That does not have to always be the points that you are scoring. It can also be the points you did not let him score. So that's the thing to keep in mind.